Championship is the most unpredictable league, and that's just predicting it for one season. But we're going to be going 5 years in the future and predicting the Championship table using AI, because I'm not going to be able to predict this myself. Let's see if AI has a better idea than the average person to predict the Championship in the 2029-30 season. If you're going to enjoy the video, please do drop a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. We do daily Championship content, so if you're a fan of the Championship, you need to be subscribed to this channel. It'd be very greatly appreciated, and let's jump straight into it. So starting off in 24th, we have Blackpool, who they actually have a return to the Championship at some point in this time, but they have got them also then going back down to League One. And it does have a little comment with every single Championship team in this season and how they're going to get on, but you'll see a bit of a theme. If you watch the video, you'll see a bit of a theme throughout these comments that they're actually making between each Championship club in this season. But it says for Blackpool, a passionate fan base, Blackpool's resilience could see them return to the top tier. They're not returning to the top tier because they're getting relegated from League One. So they are a long way from returning to the top tier. This is what I'm saying about ChatGPT. I think there's some serious flaws in this AI which maybe need to be addressed, especially with their predictions anyway, looking at this. But that's what it says about Blackpool. Bottom of the league, straight back down, welcome back to League One. 23rd, Wigan Athletic. Another team that has previously been in the Championship, obviously had problems with the ownership. Hopefully on their way back up now, and ChatGPT has got them getting promoted to the Championship, but then also getting relegated back down to League One. And it says, with a focus on rebuilding, which they are definitely rebuilding, Wigan could be a future contender for promotion. Well, they are probably a future contender for promotion in League One. I don't think that's a future contender in the Championship, because they're not going to be there in the next season, according to ChatGPT. Now on to 22nd, another team. They're all in very similar situations in terms of they've had troubles with the ownership. Every single one of these teams in the past, obviously Reading almost nearly went bust. All three teams in the past have had problems with the ownership. All three teams getting back to the Championship, but all three teams then going down from the Championship. Reading, it says, a club with a strong youth academy. Reading could be well positioned in the future for future success. Well, it'd be nice to see them back in the Championship. Wouldn't mind seeing them get relegated as well. That would be quite funny. So that is the three they've got. They've got 3 League One teams, but they're having them all come straight back down to League One where they belong. Now we're on to the teams that just about avoid relegation at bottom end of the table. And it's got Stoke City still struggling in 21st, all the way down there, like they have been for numerous years now in the Championship, constantly underperforming. And ChatGPT has them doing the exact same thing. It says Stoke City, with strategic planning, Stoke could be a team to watch in the coming years. To me, it doesn't seem like anyone would be watching them in any years, to be honest. It looks like they'd be more likely to watch them in League One than anything, because they're sat in 21st in the Championship, and they probably would have been sat there for the last 5 years as well, doing the exact same thing in lower mid-table. So Stoke City has got more pain for the Stoke fans. Sorry to break it to you. Not me who's predicting it, it's ChatGPT, right? 20th, we've got Charlton Athletic, obviously a newly promoted team this season. It says, Charlton, a club with rich history. Charlton's infrastructure could support a return to the top tier. They're sat in 20th in the Championship. I'm sorry, a top tier return looks quite a long way away from judging off this season. But the first real surprise for me here is Ipswich in 19th. The team that's obviously just got relegated from the Premier League, and they have the infrastructure in place to really bounce back to the Premier League, in my personal opinion, with the squad they've got, the management. Obviously, we don't know if McKenna's going to stay, but they're in a position where I think they should come straight back up to the Premier League. But ChatGPT has them falling off massively, down into 19th position. It says, with a focus on rebuilding, so Ipswich must have lost a lot of players, must have lost a manager. I don't know, ownership's all gone wrong, I don't know what they're predicting here. But then it says, Ipswich could be a future contender for promotion. We'll see about that one, because you've already predicted about 5 of these teams at the bottom to return to the top flight. Doesn't really sound like it's too accurate right there. 18th place, we've got Derby County, a club with storied history. Derby's infrastructure could help support a return to the Premier League, to the Championship. It's got Derby County apparently with the infrastructure to return to the Championship, despite finishing 18th in the Championship. That is some real logic used right there. Now we're on to the lower mid-table section again, which are very comfortable sides this season. It's got Portsmouth with a passionate fan base. Portsmouth resilience could see the return to the top tier. Another team returning to the top tier despite being sat in the bottom half of the Championship. We've got Portsmouth. I think Portsmouth are rebuilding quite well. It'll be really nice to see them get to the Premier League at some point. ChatGPT has them not doing that. I would love to see Portsmouth try and build and try and get back into the Premier League. That would be like such a nostalgic team in the Premier League. Let's hope for it one day. But ChatGPT says no. 16th place, we got Oxford. Decent for Oxford. They can maintain themselves as a championship club. I think they'd be quite happy with that. It says, with a strong youth academy, Oxford could be well positioned for future success. Quite a nice one there for Oxford, and it'd be nice, for them to still be in the championship and be a real proper championship team and properly cement themselves as a championship club. 15th, we've got Cardiff City coming back up to the championship from League One. It says, with strategic planning, Cardiff could be a club to watch in the coming years. Maybe they're under new ownership. Maybe they don't have Vincent Tan, because as long as he's in charge, Cardiff aren't one to watch in the slightest. So maybe they have a change of ownership. Who knows? 14th, we've got Preston North End. Have we ever got a more predictable one than that? That's probably the most predictable one out of the lot. Preston sat in mid-table. That is guaranteed. Or at least in the championship. They're just a championship with the definition of it. It says, a club with a rich history, Preston's infrastructure could support a return to the top tier. Another one. Never going to happen. Preston is a mid-table championship club. That is what they are. They ain't going to the Premier League anytime soon, mark my words. Now we're on to almost the top half. We've got Swansea City in 13th. They're focused on youth development. Swansea could be well positioned for future success. Swansea are building, but it's not got them building very well, because I think Swansea have got really good potential to potentially mount playoff pushers and potentially maybe return to the Premier League in a few years. ChatGPT says no. It says start in mid-table, so you can continue in mid-table, Swansea City fans. Millwall, another team that's continuing in mid-table, a club with a passionate fan base. Millwall's resilience could see them remain competitive. They are competitive, they're sat in mid-table in the Championship. I guess they'll take that. It's where Millwall have been for numerous years, or in and around the playoffs and in the top half of the Championship. It's got them in that position again. Hull City, it says we're a club focused on rebuilding. Hull City could be a future contender for promotion. Another one contending for promotion. And for me, that's a little bit high for Hull. I think Hull could potentially maybe drop to League One with the ownership and what's going on there. I think it's all a bit of a mess. I think they'll be a bit lower, but ChatGPT has them in an alright position in the Championship. And in 10th, we have Norwich City. Known for their youth development, Norwich could be a club to watch in the coming years. Another one that could be a club to watch, like everybody is. But yeah, Norwich are a team that I think have the resources to really push for the playoffs and get themselves into the Premier League in a few years' time. They always sell players for good fees. They buy well. So they can definitely build, but they're still quite a way off right now in terms of really challenging in the Championship. So probably 10th isn't a bad prediction. And now on to the teams just missing out on the playoffs. We have Blackpool with a storied history. Blackburn's infrastructure could help support a return to the top tier. If they want to be supporting a return to the top tier, they need new ownership. They were very close to getting playoffs this season, but they really do need ownership and a club that's going in the right direction. Everyone pulling in the right direction. Right now at Blackburn, it doesn't really feel like that overall. So a lot of people are predicting Blackburn to drop off this season. Bristol City, they've got up there as well with a strong youth academy. We know Bristol City always produce good players and always bring through good players, good young players, and sell them on. Bristol City could be a contender. We'll see. They're always sat in mid-table in the Championship. I know they got playoffs this season, but they got absolutely destroyed once they got in it. Coventry City, it says, under the guidance of experienced managers, not Frank Lampard, Coventry has the potential to rise through the ranks, while they're rising to 7th and not getting the players. They had them just missing out on the players, which Coventry, I do think they're a side that's building towards Premier League football. I think it will eventually happen in the next few years, but ChatGPT doesn't have them in the Premier League in the 2029-30 season. Now we're on to the teams that did grab the playoffs, and it's a pretty good prediction. So I rate this prediction. West Brom in 6th. They're always in and around it. If you're going to predict for 5 years' time, putting West Brom in a position like that at the top end of the Championship is a very safe prediction. So I don't mind that. That's something that I'd do right there. And another one, Middlesbrough. They're always in and around it. They're always in and around that top end of the Championship. They're always asking the questions. Will they actually get to the Premier League? Who knows? But I rate both of them predictions. I think those are two big clubs that are always in and around it. Safe predictions from ChatGPT right there. Then it has Sunderland in 4th, where they finished this season and obviously went on to get promoted through the playoffs. It has them dropping back down to the Championship, but it's got them set up well to maybe get themselves back to the Premier League again. It says, under new management, Sunderland have shown promise and could be a strong contender for promotion. And then you've got Burnley, who are another team at the top end of the Championship, who are another team that did get promoted this season. It has them back in the Championship. A bit of a common theme. The gap between the Premier League is very big. So you've got teams that are coming up to the Premier League, then coming back down, and then being at the top end of the Championship, which is kind of what's happening right now. Unless you just disregard Luton, and that is basically what's happening. It says, despite managerial changes, Burnley's solid foundation and previous successes suggest they can maintain a presence in the Championship. Has it got Birmingham just about Burnley just about staying up? It's to maintain their presence in the Championship. They're sat in 3rd. And I think they're doing a bit more than maintaining their presence in the Championship. they might have even got promoted. And now on to the top 2, and it's the same top 3, you've just in a little bit of a different order. You swap Sheffield United and Burnley around. They've got Sheffield United in second place. With a history of bouncing back from relegation, Sheffield United's resilience could see them remain competitive. I think they are competitive, mate. They're sat second in the league. They're getting promoted to the Premier League. I think that does clarify that they are competitive in the Championship. I hope they realise that. But it's got Sheffield United pretty much yo-yoing, which Burnley are doing. Sheffield United are doing. You see Leeds in first. It's got Leeds yo-yoing as well. There's a clear theme which ChatGPT has here of teams coming up to the Premier League and coming back down and then being at the top end of the Championship, which is quite an accurate prediction because you look at the gap between the Championship and the Premier League, you really do think it's going to take a lot for a team to break that and actually try and actually be able to successfully keep themselves up in the Premier League. So I do rate them predictions right there. But a few of them are a little bit dodgy. And I would like a few more outlandish takes as well, where we have like a League 2 team now sat in the Championship. Like an outlandish prediction. Or a decent Premier League club sat in the Championship. Could give us an Everton sat there. Be a bit more bold with your predictions. They've gone very safe here. But let me know where do you think your club will be in the next 5 years. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new around here. Please do hit that subscribe button. If it takes 1 second, it'd be very greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.